Shri Gurubhyo Namaha children. We welcome you to our online teaching academy Ekalaiva. Children, yesterday we started our new lesson, the classical world. In that we discussed about Greece. Today we are going to discuss about Rome. Rome is defined as the Hellenistic world. Hellenistic means the cultural development that took place after Alexander's death is called Hellenistic civilization. Now we are going to discuss about beginnings of Hellenistic civilization. So yesterday we discussed about Greek states. These Greek states, they did not have an elaborate bureaucracy. Bureaucracy means a system of administration. There was no proper administration in the Greek states. So they were able to show a greater changes. So under Alexander the Great, the Greeks were able to establish a kingdom in a place called Macedonia, and they succeeded in annexing two historic empires, Egypt and the Middle East. But Alexander, he spent his entire period on war. The Greek school of science, mathematics and philosophy reached its peak, became high in the Greek Egyptian city called Alexandria. Euclid, he formulated the basic theorems of geometry. Eratosthenes, he only calculated the diameter of the earth, and Hipparchus, he was the founder of trigonometry, were all products of this age. Ptolemy built on Hipparchus' ideas, and he later developed a model of motion of the planets and stars. Motion means movement of planets. Next we are going to discuss about Roman Republic. In the beginning, Rome was a society. It comprises of many agriculturists organized through lineages. Lineages means they were following their ancestors. So out of this developed a hereditary ruling class. So hereditary means grandfather, father and son, like that. So developed a hereditary ruling class. Roman people were divided into two classes. Patricians. Patricians were rich landlords, and plebeians. Plebeians were common people. So Rome was located in the crisscrossing trade routes which cuts north, south and east, west. So taxes, traders have to pay taxes when they move from one place to another place. So taxes on passing traders added the revenue. Already they have revenue through agriculture. So these taxes added their revenue. So by the late 6th century BCE, Rome developed into a prosperous, rich town. Prosperous means rich town. Our next topic is class war between patricians and plebeians. So prisoners of war were enslaved, were treated as slaves in Rome. So Rome produced a new group of labor force. So these slaves were exploited by the rich people. Big landholders, they bought slaves for cheaper amount and used them to cultivate in their estates. So the slave population grew, and by the 1st century there were 2 million slaves. The total population was 3.25 million, but out of that 2 million people were slaves. Slave labor led to the impoverishment. Impoverishment means becoming poor of free labor. So as slaves were available at cheaper prices, many laborers, they became poor. They lost their job opportunities and they became poor. Many poor peasants, they have to abandon their children, they have to leave their children, who also ended up in the slave market. The conflict between plebeians and patricians became bloodier. A major source of revenue to the Roman state was slave trade. So they earned more income by trading the slaves. So the island of Delos, it became a big market for slaves. They were sold in that market. Next, Tiberius Gracchus and Gaius do Gracchus. They were rich landlords. Patricians means rich landlords. Even though they were rich landlords, they rose against and they voiced their opinion in the favor of poor peasants. So, as the peasants supported these two landlords, the senator, that is the government, the ruling people, they were shocked by this development and they killed both of them. So, their death, the death of Gracchus brothers, play a very important role in the transformation of Roman Republic into the Roman Empire. Transfer of power from consuls to emperor. Consuls means ambassadors. When Marius became consul with the support of the equites, equites means new richer propertied class below the senatorial class. Senatorial class means ruling class. So Marius, he made an attempt to push through a land distribution bill in the Senate. Senate means the ruling power. This led to violence there. So the friends of Marius were killed. This resulted in a civil war between the followers of Marius and Sulla. So after expelling Marius, Marius was forced to leave. Then Sulla got the power and he ruled for 3 years as a virtual dictator. So virtual dictator means someone who is not officially a dictator. So he was killed and he was succeeded by Cinna and Catilina. Slave revolts, there were more slave revolts in Rome when compared to Greece. The revolt of Spartacus. Spartacus revolt was most famous among that. It began in 73 BCE and 70,000 slaves involved in that revolt. The revolt threatened the power, the ruling power in Rome. So ultimately, Spartacus was killed and the revolt was crushed. 6,000 of the followers of Spartacus were executed. Now, establishment of Principate. The civil wars over social issues ended only to be replaced by civil war between generals. So many civil wars started between the generals. So for example, they have given some of the generals' names here. Marius and Cinna, they were against Sulla. Next, Pompey against Julius Caesar. After Caesar's death with Brutus, and Cassius against Mark Antony and Octavian, and finally Octavian against Mark Antony. So the rich, old and new alike felt that allowing Octavian, now called Augustus, to establish a de facto monarchy was the only way to re-establish political society. So all of them, they decided to retain political stability. They have to depend on Octavian, who was called as Augustus. So the period starting from Augustus, that is 27 BC, is known as Principate. Augustus called himself imperator, which means emperor. So the word de facto means reality, whether right or wrong, they have to accept Augustus. Then only they can retain political stability. Now society under Principate. So what is the condition of the people under Principate? During the period of Principate, the imperial ruling class became more prosperous than under the Republic. So they became Principate. The ruling class became more powerful and rich than when they were under the Republic. The period witnessed a great influx. Influx means arrival of luxury goods such as silk, spices and gems from the east. So cities were built on grand manner with temples, theatres, stadiums. Colosseum, also a large building which may be used as theaters or stadium like that. Gymnasia, where equipments will be there. And then aqueducts, channels to lead water, baths and markets. The rich people they disturbed the attention, they grabbed the attention of the poor by organizing games and contests in circuses, where the gladiators were forced to fight and kill each other. So gladiators means people trained to fight. The most distinguished writers of the Augustan age brought glory to the empire. Among them, Pliny the Elder completed a voluminous encyclopedia of science. He called it as natural history. So in this map, you can see Roman Empire. Orange color denotes Western Roman Empire and pink color denotes Eastern Roman Empire. You can see a Colosseum in this image. Now we are going to discuss about external invasions and the decline of Roman Empire. So the empire faced lot of threats from barbarian invasions. They depended on expensive mercenary armies. Mercenary means a troop. The empire has to pay for military operations. So in 330 AD, the center of the empire moved from Italy to the Greek-speaking city of Byzantium. So in 330, the center of the empire, the total empire moved from Italy, not the total empire, the main empire moved from Italy to the Greek-speaking city of Byzantium. But it was difficult to rule the western part from such a distance. So the Goth Alaric led his forces to sack Rome. So the Frank Clovis took control of a place called Gaul. The Ostrogoth Theodoric proclaimed himself the emperor of Rome because Rome couldn't take control over the western part, especially under them. The final onslaught means destructive attack, came from Vandals in 476 AD. Disgusted by the rule of Emperor Romulus Augustus, the Roman army led by Odovacer revolted and deposed means removed him. This marked the end of Western Roman Empire. Okay children, we discussed about Rome, its development, and about external invasions and the decline of Roman Empire. To receive our online lessons, please press the subscribe button and you will receive the latest updates. Thank you children.